Central Luzon and for other purposes. It's called Rich, and it's authored by this representation and practically all the senators last time who co-authored it. This bill was passed by both houses of Congress last year, and the only concern that the president was told was that we gave an awful lot of incentives to the locators, which I think is necessary considering at that time we were not getting the incentives. We were so low on the totem pole insofar as foreign direct investments is concerned. I have refiled this bill today principally because I think that Central Luzon, which is so near Manila, is certainly a terrific candidate to attract investments, especially since Vietnam and Indonesia have been getting the investments from China, and we expect And then Clark also has their contribution. I'll ask them that later on. And also, investments has been coming, although the pandemic has caused everybody some harm. And today, let me just say that the object of this bill, when you look at all the highways, you look at all the ports and airports, and you look at the population, you look at all the schools and universities there in Central Luzon. I believe we have about 12 universities, if I'm not mistaken, and of course a number of schools, a number of technical schools there as well. And there's still a lot of land that can be developed. You know, when we started Subic, we only uh, got developed 300 hectares of the Taiwan zone. And if you look at the Taiwan zone now, you can see when we started in the Taiwan zone, it was just what they call a shooting range. It was swampy, and in less than a year, we developed it, and now it has so many investments. Uh, and because of that, I think I can tell you that after that, we had the Japanese zone. Jetro came up with an investment. I think Ami can tell you about that. And Clark, which initially stalled at the turnover, a lot of people stole the area, Americans and Filipinos alike. We were able to wake it up. In fact, in the middle of Clark, almost at the end of their fifth year, they uh, they were declared a Clark Freeport zone by President Ramos, and I told him it's not going to wash. There are better pictures of the zone, and in fact, when he left right away, the Supreme Court ordered that it can only be an export processing zone and not a free port. I filed the bill, and it became a free port zone, and the bleeding of companies from Clark stopped, and now Clark is even bigger. There's an international airport that can become really, really huge for Central Luzon. Now, if you take a look at the map of the screen, I hope you can see it. You have the Subic Master Plan that has been there, and of course, this is the detailed map of the Taiwan Industrial Park. And the Taiwan Industrial Park used to have Acer and still has a lot, and I'll let Ami tell you that. And of course, you have the Japan zone as well. So, what are we trying to do in this bill? In short, what I'm trying to say is we have all the infrastructure that any investor would like to have. It's part of the Philippines, which is right in the central of Southeast Asia. And when you start looking at it, of Asia, I'm sorry, not just Southeast Asia, we're 3.5 hours away from Japan, from Beijing, 4 hours away from Indonesia, and of course, we're 1.5 hours away from Hong Kong, and 3 hours away from Singapore, and we're beside the mighty South Philippine Sea and the Pacific Oceans. And in the future, it is my hope that we can foresee it in my lifetime. Both Eddie Angara and I dreamt of a canal that would connect the Pacific Ocean that will exit out to Subic Bay, so that you could have all kinds of things. By the way, I failed to mention that the train is being developed from Manila to Clark, and also you will have a train from Clark to Subic as well. So having said that, I will not speak any more. I just want you to know that we gave it the usual incentives of 5% of the gross, and the only thing we added, I suppose, was that we were going to allow the governors and the other agencies of the government to look for areas 200 hectares, 300 hectares that they can plan on their own, and then they can develop it and certainly develop a lot of jobs. And at the same time, when a company comes in, we would record that they build housing, and that has been done. As you can see, I will show you later on in Subic, where the Pag-ibig come up for Hanjin, which was across the bay in Subic Bay, and we had this uh, Pacific, this uh, they call the housing area, the housing loan. They were given housing loans by Pag-ibig. And my staff is new, so she cannot find it. And that's the Pag-ibig-led housing area. And the employee has to be accredited. And I can show you some that was built in Castillejo, Zambales, uh, where they have anything from 2 bedrooms to one bed to single room, where they can even have condos built there. I believe this one is in Lucena. Um, this is Dole, Philippines. I'm trying to look for the Castillejo Zambales area, and I'm sure we can find it later on if my EA survives this little crisis of having to look for something that she should have prepared last night. And these are just some of the homes. There you go, nagbunga Castillejo Zambales, and the people in San in kasi in Hanjin, before it left, started buying homes there. But you know, Hanjin is going to be resurrected with a new combined British, Australia, and American uh, uh, seaport, which will enhance again our situation. If you look at Subic, across the bay would be Hong Kong Island, and if I look, let me look at the map, if I may. You'll see that from the bay you can go to Subic and Olongapo proper, which is like the new territory, the Hong Kong area, and the new territories would be Bataan, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, etc., and Tarlac, of course, and Zambales. And see, this whole area of Central Luzon could be a mighty place for investment. Today, we have lost almost 10 million jobs already because of the pandemic. A lot of investments have closed down. And I'd like to say that the unemployment rate has become 10%. There are 4.5 million jobless Filipinos, and the underemployment rate is about 17.3%, or 7.1 million underemployed Filipinos. So I put it about 10 to 11 million that are not really performing. And so the unemployment rate is 10.9% in Central Luzon. The unemployment rate is 10.9%, or 486,916 are jobless, and the underemployment rate is 15.8%, or 705,805 are underemployed. So having said that, we could have a bigger contribution to GDP easily if we generate the kind of investments. And like a recent article said, investors are moving from Vietnam and the Japan External Trade Zone, or JETRO, Overseas Supply Chain Diversification Project. They subsidize diversification of supply chain away from China. And let me remind you that the Americans are encouraging people not to buy Chinese products now, and they want their allies to move their companies. And Japan has started that, and out of 30 participants, only 3 will go to the Philippines. That's because we have very little to offer, and 15 companies have so far built facilities in Vietnam, new facilities, and 6 firms are going to Thailand. So, having said that, uh, you know, we're not a very picture of a place where everybody's running to go to invest. Singapore is second place. Malaysia, our neighbor, is 12th place. Vietnam is 70th place and growing. Indonesia is 73rd. And the Philippines is 95th place. 95. And in terms of foreign direct investments, we only hit $1.8 billion in the first quarter of 2020. Vietnam has already reached 3 billion, Thailand 3.6 billion, Indonesia has reached 4.7 billion, and Singapore, little Singapore, the size of Subic, is 14.8 billion. Can you imagine? It's little Singapore, which is the size of Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority, can hit uh, 18 billion or 14.8 billion dollars. 14.8 billion dollars, and yet the whole country is only hitting 3.5%, and that's just the first quarter. and what you can do with the central Luzon that has moved in. So I call on all the governors to be strong in their advocacy. We can get this bill approved. You can get your congressman and your senators to approve this bill, and we will have to ask finance and NEDA. We can adopt create, which is going to give an incentive of 8 years max, if I'm not mistaken. That's fine with me. But I'd like to retain, because Manila is over 11.5 million people in the daytime, in the night, and almost 14 million people practically, and 11.8 million in the nighttime. And we're losing $3.5 billion a day for traffic. According to a study, we can move some of those people to the land areas that are not occupied in Tarlac. We start with 200 hectares in Tarlac, in the Nueva Ecija, another 200 hectares, and Bulacan, etc. And I bet you we can generate investment, especially if all the governors, congressmen, and this representation, including other senators like Nancy Binay, we can prove that we can bring in the investments. I am very sure that if this is approved by the president this time, we can get the necessary investments in answer to what COVID has destroyed within us. So on that note, I will stop and get your thoughts on the matter. Uh, Senator Binay, would you like to make us some remarks if you're still there? I would appreciate it. Otherwise, I can go ask the other people in the resource persons. Are there any reactions here? Maybe we can call on the governors first. Governor Yap was there earlier. Can I call on her to make some statements? Certainly, Tarlac, which is beside Clark, can still use more investments. And therefore, let me start with Governor Yap, if I may. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'd like to get the feel of the governors as well as the other areas in the community. Thank you.
Good morning, Senator Gordon.
Good
Thank
morning,
you for,
Susan.
yes, and to everyone who's here in the meeting today, to all our senators and peers in government. This bill, Senator Gordon, is very timely at this point. We don't know the reasons why previously it was not approved, but with the huge investments that the national government has done for the area, both in infrastructure, port developments, and the road networks, plus the train now, this is most timely to make the most out of the Region 3. Plus the fact that we are in a pandemic, we have seen already the congestion problem in the NCR. This will unload the burden in Metro Manila if we are able to bring in much of the industrialization in the area. And we have so much to offer. So thank you, Senator Dick Gordon, for your unrelentless campaign on this rich bill to really spur and push the economic growth in the area. Thank you. I'm in full support. I will talk to my friends in Congress to support this bill. Senator, you're mute. Naka-mute po kayo.
Yes, sir. I was going to talk to your brother, my fraternity brother, Congressman Yaps, the co-sponsor the local bill. I'm sure it will pass both houses. It did before. And if the finance department would like to make adjustments, like I said, I'm willing to adjust to create the status of create. It's going to bring the taxes to 25% corporate income taxes, but will still retain the incentives up to about 8 years, especially for areas like ours. And you're very, very correct. This is a bill that is even more urgent now.
Yes.
Last time it was already urgent. It's even more urgent now, and we need to get this done. Uh, you know, uh, give you an idea. Alpha was started so when we had that bill passed in 2009, has zoomed up tremendously. Uh, and I can see, is that Governor Abed Garcia there? Abed, is that you? Abed, can you give a comment, please, so that we can put it on the note and the minutes? Thank you. I'm sure your brother will also sponsor this in Congress. Thank you. Can you unmute, Abet?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Gordon,
Thank you.
Senator Binay, and to all present in this committee hearing of Senate Bill 1549, and to my fellow governor, Governor Susan, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. I share the sentiments of Governor Susan, and being a beneficiary to the creation of the Freeport area of Bataan, which wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Senator Gordon. 10 years ago, we experienced really an influx of investments and the creation of thousands of new jobs. 300% increase in national taxes, even with the incentives, and 400% increase in local taxes because of the expansion of the tax base due to the investments that came in. Our poverty incidence in Bataan went down to a single digit, very a small single digit. Of course, not just because of the Freeport area of Bataan, but also Subic is also within the vicinity of Bataan, and a lot of our constituents from the first district of Bataan find jobs and livelihood in Subic, as well as Clark, which connects us via the ECITEX. So I'm very excited about this Senate bill. I hope it becomes law immediately. It's an opportune time, as was mentioned earlier, especially now, and also this was mentioned in the explanatory note of the chairman, where there is a trade war going on between U.S. and China, and there's a lot of opportunities in the Southeast Asian countries like ours to get these investments and to create jobs. There's a lot of idle land in Region 3, especially with the ECITEX present and a lot of the infrastructure projects that are coming in. We can make this idle land productive for investments and more jobs for our people. Um, if we will have more of Fab, more of Subic, more of Clark in our region, it will be good for our region and the people in our region. Also, to decongest the very overly congested Metro Manila, which is costing us, according to the JICA study, 3 billion pesos a day or something like that before the pandemic hit. So,
Actually,
napakaganda po ng Senate bill na ito, and it is regional, so it will be more agile than a national bureaucracy. Mas madali natin pag-usapan between the governors, between the economists, between the senators in our region para mas mabilis po yung implementation ng mga much needed uh, infra projects to make our region even more competitive. Um, we are the third fastest growing region in the country. Of course, nauuna yung NCR, pangalawa yung Calabarzon, tapos pangatlo po yung ating region, Region 3. And with this bill becoming law, I'm sure that we can really be competitive and add to the national economy even more. So as governor of the province of Bataan, bilang taga Region 3, and also as chair, as the RDC of our region, I am all for this Senate bill. And thank you, Senator Gordon, for all your contributions to our region and to our country. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
good morning, Abet. Thank you very much, Abet. I can tell you both Susan and Abet that if we have 200 hectares, I think I told Abet that we have a Taiwanese who wants to invest right away in Central Luzon, but they have to be assured that it's near Subic and Clark. The whole point of this bill is not just to enhance Subic or inside Clark, but to maximize the Subic and Clark airports and seaports to go into areas that have none. Now, I'll give you an example. Uh, South Luzon uh, has exceeded Central Luzon for a long time, and they don't even have an airport. The airport is Manila. Their seaport is Manila and Bataan. That's why it gets congested in Manila. But if you open this, I think right away we will shoot out like a rocket. And that's why I guess after I ask all these questions from the others, uh, I can ask other questions concerning the speed upon which we can set aside just 100 to 200 hectares of land. Patikim lang. And you will be amazed at how many people will come in, especially when the pandemic ceases. So I'm very much involved in that, as you know, and trying to quell the pandemic. And now I'd like to ask the others from the other areas. Danny Fernando is there. Danny, are you there? Governor Dan? Uh,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
good morning, Your Honor. I'm Arlene Pascual, representing Governor Daniel Fernando. Uh, Unfortunately, he has to rush to an equally important meeting, so he just asked me to tell you his position about your proposed bill, Mr. Chair.
Would you please turn on your video so we can see you? Where everybody's looking for you. Oh, is that you, Arlene?
It's
You were in
on, yes,
Zambales
sir.
a while ago. I
Yes,
don't know why
sir.
you were in Zambales. Arlene, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Also, Mr. Chair, we salute your unwavering vision in achieving greatness for Central Luzon. Uh, uh, as we read the draft, the proposed bill, we noticed my first comment was what will happen to the existing government entities that perform similar function as proposed in the bill. However, it was answered in Section 3, letter H, that the proposed bill states the integration of the BCDA, SBMA, CDC, AFAT, APECO, and
Second part.
PIAZA, sir.
Yes.
So that well, of course, Mr. Chair, we are now yet to listen to the comments of these entities, but the governor would like to express his support to this proposed bill. His 100% support. That's what he mentioned. His 100% support to the project. And just additional information, Mr. Chair, there is also an ongoing study, the Integrated Infrastructure and Investment Development Planning for Investment Corridors in Central Luzon, which you might consider as you push through with the formulation of the master plan that has been mentioned in the proposed bill. So, Mr. Chair, you have Bulacan's support 100%.
Thank you, Arlene. Last time we had Bulacan, we had everybody supporting the bill, and that was just fairly recent. Like I said, the only reason why the bill was vetoed by the president upon recommendation of the Department of Finance was uh, what they felt was the incentives. But again, even they have changed their mind. They're keeping the incentives under the Create bill, and right now, I'm sure we have a representative there, Valerie Brian, which I hope they will be able to, uh, you know, help us craft the bill. Quite frankly, I don't even favor that. That's why I filed the bill with all the incentives that were vetoed. But we can fine tune that bill. Especially, I think the president will agree to us because he knows that he needs investments. Today, I read that they need revenues because Pogos have closed down and they lost about 10 billion. Can you imagine? You know, we're talking about build as a policy. This is build, infra zones in already where infrastructure has been developed. And if you build the infrastructure for the zones and you build housing, certainly they will also work out. Uh, according to them, when this was vetoed, and I want to make sure you know, the bill has several ways which would pose substantial fiscal risks to the country. I don't know what they were talking about. They were not specific. Maybe we can get the finance people to tell us. And then the second was a key to lasting economic development is a tax system with generally low rates and a broad tax base. This is precisely uh, what we're doing. The tax system will be low, and there will be a broader tax base because of the jobs. More jobs will mean more income taxes. More jobs will mean payment of real estate taxes for the houses. And narrowing, I think they were talking about national when they said they said low rates of taxes. They're talking about the corporate income taxes, which I support, from 32% to 25%, which we're going to support under CREATE. So this renders the whole system, according to them, incapable of generating a yield sufficient to sustain the country's social and economic infrastructure. We need something to sustain it now, real fast. And this should necessitate funding new sources of revenue through additional taxes or borrowings in the future. My goodness, they actually read what is going to happen in the pandemic. I'm not criticizing them. And then they said grant of fiscal incentives are too long. Well, they kind of exaggerated. We can always reduce the tax incentives if we feel there's no longer any more need for it. And I guess that's what I just wanted to say here. Sometimes I feel that we're still under the Spanish regime and the American regime and the regime in the 80s or the 70s when we had a centralized government. But I am a local government guy essentially, and I know how it feels when your people don't have jobs in your neighborhood, in your community. So let us hear from the others. Thank you, Bulacan, Arlene. Thank you. Please give my thanks to them. I are there any other
Thank you,
local
sir.
governments there? Tanong na yan eh, hindi ka nakikinig eh.
Sir,
Yes,
representative of Zambales Provincial Legal Officer.
provincia o
Sen.
Zambales. Yes. Is this Miss Mirasol?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, no, sorry. Who is this?
Attorney
We-
Elaine Collado.
Attorney?
Elaine Collado, Your Honor.
Yes, Elaine.
Hi.
Are you the
Hi.
sister of Attorney Collado? Or the daughter na?
Yes.
Daughter?
The daughter.
My gosh, that ages me.
They're good.
Yes.
Good morning. Much aware of the progress of report zone. The same province. Your Honor expresses his desire to support you in this bill, Your Honor. Anything that you want from the governor, you just tell him, and then we will work as much as we can with you. You're from here, so we'd like to support you here, and of course, Your Honor, we believe that this bill would really help, especially now that everybody is in Manila, and there are a lot of things that you can do here. There are a lot of we have so much land that we can share with the Philippines. So I really pray that this would become a bill so that the progress in Manila would advance here in Central Luzon. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Iha. Number one is if they can identify land right away in every municipality, if you like, or one municipality, that should be sufficient. Huh?
Yes.
Land could be for industrial purposes and also for tourism purposes. Because you can have a land here that will covered here, and you can choose between Tiesa and the incentives that will be provided by Rich. We call this bill Rich. So, ang dami nating beaches sa Zambales.
Opo.
And across it doesn't have to be on the beach. It can be across the beach in another piece of land near the beach. So that will allow the environment to be open, and we don't have to spend 389 million in a Boracay Beach in Manila. I'm just, I'm just, I'm just kidding. I don't know whether that's true, but according to some groups in Manila, it's 28 million. But now it's 387 million. I don't know which to believe. But anyway, I am just going to focus on this. This is our province. This is a second shot that we're going to have. And the second thing I'd like to ask Susan, Governor Susan, Abed, and all the other governors, Governor Dan, Governor Zambales, is to make sure that we have uh, a petition right away to the president. I mean, bombard the president's office with telegrams or emails saying that we need to get this bill across because COVID will be finished soon. And hopefully, even before it is finished, we're ready with an industrial park. And I would suggest that the third thing that I would ask is the moment it is passed, I'm willing to take a leave from Congress and take all of us to go to Japan and go to other places that would give us visas. Taiwan would be eager. That would be the target. And Japan right away. I'm sure Australia would be another target. And we can get this thing across. I think that would show strength. Even if you don't have me there, all of you working together, we will just make the arrangements prior to that. We know the contacts there. I'm sure Ami, Isma, and Chairman Manangkil and Chairman of APAB will also be able to help and guide you. And this will not enhance or not only the zones that we already have, but certainly the land area that I'd like to see booming. Can you imagine? Become the Detroit city of the Philippines. So thank you very much, Ms. Collado, for your very kind intervention. And now we'll have, in behalf of June Abdani, who's a very good friend, in Zambales. Let's see, take a look now. I have already spoken with the Pinedas. I hope they've sent a representative. Are they here? Is anybody representing Pampanga? Can you call Governor Pineda, Danny Pineda, Delta? I'll call him and so that he can make his comment here as well. I know Senator Angara is in support of this bill and the governor itself, but now let's all go to uh, uh, just a quick question to Ami Isma of Sambales in Subic. Uh, Ms. Isma, uh, you have already been contributing to the government and there's been no failure, correct? Attorney Isma?
Yes. Hi, good morning, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be present here today. On your question, sir, since the inception of the Subic Bay Freeport Zone under your chairmanship in 1992, we have since generated 10.8 billion foreign and domestic investments that has generated up to 130,000 employment numbers as of 2019. And it is our hope that with the Rich Bill, this will be replicated in pretty much all the provinces in Region 3 and the whole of Region 3 to make us as vibrant as and as energized together with Calabarzon. And with that, the airports of Clark, Subic, and our seaports, including that of Bataan, will be fully utilized and be of service to the hopefully many investors and locators who will be interested to come and locate in Central Luzon.
We even have a port in Masinloc. If I may ask, is that still functioning, Attorney Collado?
Yes, yes, Your Honor. We still have a port in Masinloc.
It will get a chance to expand as well. If this really booms, you will have to, you can expand Masinloc into a bigger harbor,
Yes,
right?
yes.
A bigger port.
Yes, yes.
Now let me just ask Mr. Manangkil of Pampanga, uh, the contribution of Clark alone. I did ask, was I correct, Attorney Isma, that you just recently gave about 100. How much did you give to the provinces this quarter?
Sir, for those remittances for this quarter is a little close to 100 million to the various local government units that is contiguous and is being utilized under the Subic Bay Freeport Zone.
That is correct.
Just for the quarter, sir.
That's for the
Uh,
quarter,
it's
indeed.
yes, sir. Equivalent to the earnings and taxes remitted in the last quarter of 2020.
Yes. All right. And Clark, may we hear from Clark very quickly, please? Is there anybody from Clark? Can you hear me? Unmute, please. By the way, while he's trying to connect, let me show you a map of our so that GCG can also take a look at this and finance. What good is this when you have going to have a gateway, an undersea cable that will begin in Baler
is 101% in support of the Rich Bill. Regarding the remittances to the national government, Chairman, uh, BCDA remits to the national government two types of remittances. One from our asset disposition proceeds, and for only for 2016 to 2019, we have remitted to the National Treasury 16 billion. And on top of that, we have remitted to the National Treasury for 2016 to 2019, 1.9 billion, representing dividends of the national government, dividends to the national government, sir, from the 50% share of the national government in our retained earnings. So, all in all, Mr. Chairman, from 2016 to 2019, we have remitted more than 18 billion pesos to the national treasury.
Just asking this point simply to show that we are not a burden. DOF is aware of this. We're not a burden, and we're not going to bring down the taxes in this country. Now, let me go ahead and ask. There are no other governors there. I'm sure they will be joining us. I'm calling on the governor of Pampanga, who I'm sure will support us. Uh, but let me just say this. Let me ask. Let me ask now to cut to the chase. DOF, and I've talked with the NEDA chief, Eric. No, what's his name? The NEDA chief now. Carl Chua. Carl Chua. And he says we will talk about the incentives. Obviously, one eye towards the Secretary of Finance. That's why I'm asking all the governors to really make the petition early now, and we'll all sign it. So, can I ask DOF for your comments and NEDA, whoever it is who wants to come and speak right away? Who is the DOF's representative here? Valerie Breon?
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Valerie.
Mr. Chair, this is Director Juvie from the
Juvie?
DOF.
Yes, Juvie.
Yes,
What is your
thank
position
you.
there?
Sir?
You're ASEC for what? Or the secretary?
Director po, sir. I'm Director Juvie po.
Yes.
Apo. Thank you, sir, for the invitation extended to the DOF. If I may be allowed, sir, if I can just share with the committee and the rest of the group. The positive points actually that we found in the bill, because we've been working early on with your staff, sir, with regards to your bill, as also instructed by the secretary, to find common points in the bill wherein we can actually do some enhancements, if okay with you, sir.
Yeah, I'm open.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So basically, when it comes to the intention of the Rich Bill and hearing all of the statements also of the different governors and local officials, we're actually in consonance with the intention of the Rich Bill. On the specific point, sir, when it comes to the functions of the Rich by itself, we support, sir, the promotion of the Central Luzon, the coordination and assistance that the Rich will extend. Also, the creation of the Central Luzon Investment Corridor Master Plan, that is something also that we support. But you mentioned also the CREATE bill that is ongoing, actually on the plenary right now. And yes, sir, we confirm that there are incentives under the CREATE. It's a rationalized incentives. You wanted it to be available to all of the investment promotion agencies and not just to one IPA. We wanted the standardized incentives so that the firms will not compete based on incentives, which is sometimes happening right now because of the differences in the incentives of the different IPAs. So in that sense, Mr. Chair, we note that there's also your separate incentives under REACH. So we wanted somehow to harmonize the incentives together with the CREATE. Second point, Mr. Chair, is on the administration of incentives. There's also a provision in CREATE wherein we wanted also to make sure that the administration of incentives is also standardized. We should have a more transparent way of administering incentives, making sure that everything is accounted for, so that it's a mandate for everyone to do a cost benefit analysis. And yes, we do recognize the contribution of the enterprises, different enterprises that are being given incentives. We also recognize the contribution of the different IPAs. But again, Mr. Chair, when it comes to incentives, we want to make sure that the exemption is actually commensurate to the benefits that's being given to the economy. That's all for now, Mr.
Judith,
Chair. Yes, sir.
Judith, if I may interrupt,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
do you think that our efforts in Subic and Clark and AFAB uh, have gone awry? I think they have been worthy of the incentives. Don't you think so?
Yes, sir.
There has been never a time they never contributed to the national government.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what's too big.
Yes,
So
sir.
there should be no problem with that, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
We
Now,
just have to measure in terms of the cost benefit, sir. Because similar to other jurisdictions, also in other countries who are granting incentives, because we also talked to their administrations. We went to Singapore. We also went to Malaysia. We talked to their similar board of investment, similar to us. We also talked to their finance, to our finance counterpart, and also to our counterpart internal revenue departments in those countries, sir. And we find that most of the time it's really, yes, they offer incentives, but most of them actually look more into how they can assist the companies. The incentives would be the last thing that they would offer to the companies, Mr. Chair.
well, you were talking and trying to compare, and I don't want to debate with you. I don't want to. Apples and oranges. You're talking about advanced and developed countries that have been had this. Singapore, yes, went go ahead and did this on their own when they separated from the Federation of Singapore and Malaysia, if you will recall. And they went right into this Freeport, and look at how amazing their seaport operations alone is one of the biggest in the world. If you check the seaport container movement in Singapore, they have overtaken Hong Kong. I don't know if they have
Agree,
been,
sir.
di ba?
I
Uh,
agree po. I agree. Yes.
and
Yes.
also Shanghai, right? So we were on our way there. You know, Subic had FedEx. You remember? And
Yes, sir. I know. Yeah. Yes.
you talk with them, talk to me because I think nobody has the kind of experience in this country that Ami Isma or Manangkil or even Governor Susan, who sees what's happening in Clark, uh, into what can be done. What we are needing this session in October because after that we'll be tackling the budget. Is that possible, Judy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree with you. In fact, even the secretary himself has already given us an instruction to work with your team po. So we'll just get in touch po with your team. Actually, as I mentioned earlier, we already got in touch with them and we had a discussion. So
Well,
yes,
yeah.
we'll do it po as
I come in
instructed.
good faith. As you can see, sabi ko, sama natin yung crate. Nunahan
Yes,
na
sir.
ito. Ayusin
Thank
na
you
natin
po.
ito. Because
Thank you po for considering
this
create.
is this is a very needed bill. And I'd like to
Yes,
do this
yes.
afterwards to Iloilo. I'd like to do this in Negros, which has so much land and so little production. Di ba? Can you imagine doing it in Negros Island? It can be a country by itself with all their lands, with all their schools. This country will boom. What we're trying to do is modernize the country. And we can have a little sacrifice of incentives, not too big. How are you, for example, would you agree with me na yung mag-i-invest sa bahay dyan, would you allow them some sovereign guarantee for the government?
Sir, when it comes to the sovereign guarantee, that is something that
Domestic only, domestic. Hindi foreign, domestic.
yeah. Yeah, right now, sir, kasi we have an existing policy po when it comes to sovereign guarantee. In fact, there was an issue once made by the President last 2018, Mr. Chair, on EO 58. It actually consolidates all of the guarantee provisions. So we were looking at that. And again, Mr. Chair, if you want, we can harmonize your bill with regards to the existing policies.
I just want to tell you that if we want to decongest Manila, all these slogans of the current administration, balik probinsya, are empty. You want them to go balik probinsya. You want the overseas Filipinos that have been displaced to go back somewhere where they can work and have a home that is not conducive to the spread of COVID. All our homes in Manila, they are nesting pots, nesting places for COVID. They stay in one-room houses. They cook there, they sleep there, and they can touch the wall of their neighbor because tabi-tabi sila. And that's why I think you should take a second look at providing housing as one of the biggest generators of build, build, build. So if you experiment here, like I said, you heard me, 100 hectares muna dito na may bahay. At least, pag nakita nilang ganon, lalaki yan. Di ba? Don't you agree, Judy?
Yes,
200
sir.
hectares sa Tela,
Yes, sir. If you if you
200
put it
hectares sa
that way,
Bataan.
tama po.
Hindi naman lahat sabay-sabay yan eh. Pag nakasubok tayo sa Tarlac, sa isang bayan doon, o dalawang bayan, o Bataan, or Zambales, lagyan natin ng konting sovereign guarantee depending on the investment. You can put that down. Those are the kind of things that I'd like to hear from you. It's not a zero-sum game na yes or no. All I'm saying is kung ganito ang investments, they get sovereign, domestic only, domestic guarantee. Kundi, papasok na naman dyan yung mga Chinese, nagagalit ang mga tao. Pati mga communication towers natin sa military natin, Chinese. Yung gagawa ng tulay doon sa Guimaras, Bacolod, at saka Iloilo, Chinese. Bigyan naman natin ang tao natin na sila magkaroon ng domestic investment because domestic guarantee. Because pagka nagbigay ka sa China, makita mo yung nangyari sa Sri Lanka, kanila na yung airport, kanila yung seaport, may kapalit ng base doon sa Djibouti. So to my mind, pag-aralan nyo yan, have an open mind. All right? I know I'm very obstinate and very passionate. I expect the same thing from you people and make sure that you can fine-tune the law and make it para bang hindi naman natin bibiglayin na lahat, bibigay incentives kaliwat kanan. Depende kung makita nila na maganda yan. Pag nag-work, then we will succeed. If it fails, hindi malaki ang sunog sa atin. Do you agree?
Yes, sir, because right now the provision under the Rich Bill on NG guarantee is not that clear as what you have explained, Mr. Chair.
Well, I said that I just refiled the bill so that you can help me recraft it.
Sure, sir. Sige po.
Gawin mo lang agad dyan, recraft it, and then if you can recraft it right away, we can triumph by me sponsoring the bill. Congressman Garcia, the brother of Abet, will file it. The brother of Governor Yap can file it. And my friends in Pampanga will file it. Governor will file it. A lot of people. And this went through the Congress, both houses, very fast. Because they would want to see us succeed. Because they would want to do it in Negros. They would want to do it in Mindanao. They would want to do it everywhere. Yun lang sinasabi ko. I fathered and I will be very, very, paternal, if you will. Kung hindi ako nagpilit sa Subic Freeport, pinalayas ang Amerikano, kung hindi ko sinama yung Clark, wala yung Subic Freeport, wala yung Clark Freeport and Economic Zone. Kung di ko pinick up yung standard na nabaksak sa AFAB, AFAB would not be AFAB today. And yet AFAB, they're asking, we even provided for dormitories. Di ba, Governor Garcia? We provided for dormitories because they went up so fast, they have no more homes. And now they're even expanding to other areas so they could provide housing. Can you see that, Judy?
Yes, sir. Sir, if is it okay po ba to clarify with you on the incentives under CREATE? If you are also supportive of the incentives under CREATE, so that we can also harmonize with your bill po.
You don't have to get my vote there. I'm for that.
Thank you po.
Ang concern ko lang, kung ako mag-criticize doon, it's too fast. It's too fast. Kailangan nyo ng pera dahil tinatanggalan nyo ng perang malaki ang bayan natin. Ano ipapalit nyo doon sa taxes ng corporate income taxes ngayon? Makakasiguro ba tayo? Mag-i-invest sila? Kung makakasiguro tayo, okay. At para makasiguro, yung pera nilang extra na makukuha nila na bawas sa 32% to 25%, ilagay nila kagad sa Central Luzon. Di ba, Judy? That way our bills are there.
That is something, sir. Pasensya na po. I cannot say yes to that at this point in time, sir, because these are the corporate income tax is actually collected from all of the corporations in the whole country. So I'm not sure if
no, don't take me literally. All I'm saying is you will want to be assured that when you give somebody the incentive na ibababa mo yung corporate income tax, that's a major incentive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Correct.
Income, di ba?
Correct po.
Mawawala sa atin.
Correct po.
So, gusto mo ngayon, hindi nila ibibili ng bagong stocks nila at rock bottom rates now. Di ba? Kasi kung bibigyan mo, corporation ako, wala akong paglalagyan ng pera, gagamitin ko sa tax, sa stocks para lumakas ulit yung stocks ko at mag-i-invest ako unti-unti. Pero bigyan mo sila ng pagkakataon makapag-invest sa area na makakatulong sa bayan, di ba?
Yes, that's also our objective, sir, to free up this money for further investments.
I wish kung pareho pala ang objective natin, makita mo, bakit hindi tayo, bakit na-stop pa ito? Pero tapos na yan, water under the bridge.
Opo.
Ako, I can say many things about it, but I kept quiet. I did not want to criticize the administration. I'm not one that breaks ranks.
Thank you po, sir.
But there is a boundary to that.
Thank you po.
For example, you're asking me to sponsor the guide bill. Di ba? I'm going to sponsor the guide bill under government corporations. You're asking me to vote for CREATE. Now I'm asking you, diretsahan, gawin nyo na ito, ipa-file natin yung bill with your support, nakasulat doon, with the support of all the governors, the way you want it, and then it can pass. So right away, pag binaksak natin yung corporate income tax, we can sell it to those corporations, we can sell it to other countries who will want to invest the moment COVID begins to wane. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I didn't think you were Chinese communist. I think you're a Filipino.
Very much, sir.
You better,
Thank you po.
You gotta assure me. Now, let me just show another concern. It says you asked me, I want to be sure that the SMEs will benefit from the corporate income tax reduction.
Yes, sir.
Siguro ba kayo doon?
Yes, sir. In the corporate taxpayer database, for example, those who are paying the 30% right now, majority are medium, small, and micro, sir, corporations. In
Mhm.
fact, even even not just by size, the large taxpayers, as classified by the BIR, the large taxpayers right now is just 3,000 corporations out of the 200,000 plus registered corporate taxpayers in the BIR, sir.
Would you be kind enough to give me a copy of that, soft copy, send it to my email so I can be more firm in my conviction
Yes, sir. We will send you po.
right away?
Yes, sir.
Right away. And can you promise that you will work like Governor Yap and Governor Garcia and Governor Abdane and Governor Bulacan? I've already promised that they will endorse this right away. So when we send out the endorsement, it will be the endorsement of Department of Finance because we have already worked together on this.
Yes, sir. But perhaps we can work first with your team, sir,
That's what I was
for the
saying.
bill.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to do it by myself.
Yes.
We're going to do it together.
Okay po.
All right? And we'll schedule it right away. And I don't mean next week. I mean this week. We work weekends 24/7. Okay, Judy?
Okay po.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Is there any other comments, Judy? I'm sorry I'm being very, very aggressive because I really think we're in trouble. If we don't move because of this COVID, you're going to have to borrow money already. You're borrowing money already. You keep saying, oh, we can borrow. Maganda ang for natin. But, you don't want a repeat of what happened in the past, in the 80s, late 80s, and also during the financial crisis. Babaksak tayo. Tataka tayo, bakit mababa ang piso ngayon, mataas ang piso ngayon? Well, that's temporary because we're not exporting, we're not importing anything. Hindi ba totoo yun?
Yeah, we understand po, sir.
Okay,
No
good.
problem po.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Can you just send your recommended revisions in writing so when we meet, hindi tayo kakapa-kapa, padala nyo na kagad yung revisions nyo.
Sige po.
Secretary Sani, and I'm sure we can do this. Pia, good morning. Senator Cayetano is here.
Yes, good morning. Can I say a few
Yes.
words?
Oh, narinig mo, I'm supporting Create, but they have to support Rich.
Yes,
You need to get Rich going because we will need the jobs and the taxes from Rich.
yes, I was tuned in, Mr. Chair. More or less just a few minutes after you started, I was tuned in, but I was just on no video because I was switching between a few meetings. But I pretty much heard everything. I was on video when I heard Governor Yap, Governor Garcia, and hi Susan, I see you there. I can't see everybody on the video, but I do see Susan smiling. SBMA president ba or chair? Sorry, chair.
Chairman.
Yeah. Aisma, I heard you. So yeah, I just want to weigh in a little bit on the lighter side. I think I'm your biggest supporter, especially when it comes to tourism investment. I have biked and run in almost all of your provinces. In Tarlac, I did a 21K. I've in Corregidor, in other parts of Bataan, of course in Clark, of course in Subic, in Aurora. I've actually won a race there. So I'm a big supporter of Central Luzon, and not just because it's well, precisely because it is easy to get to. It is easy to get to outside of Metro Manila. So I don't have any business in those areas, but I speak from my experience as a mother, and my downtime is taking my bike out and going somewhere. And what's the easiest place to go? North or south of Luzon. And the central Luzon has really been the easiest. The traffic has gotten worse. I live in Alabang, and Mr. Chair, I used to be able to make it to Clark in an hour and 10 minutes because I would still sleep in Alabang and I would still make it to a 6 a.m. race.
I only have one question, Pia. Who do you bike with?
I bike with a lot of local. Ikaw naman, no? Susan knows them. They're actually local. I've made so much friends, Mr. Chair, because of this passion of mine. The bikers I go out with are actually from Pampanga. One of our top triathletes is actually from Tarlac. And I discovered along with coach, the national team coach, this guy, si Leonard, in Aurora. He was discovered there when I had my event, and he's
Did-
now part of the national team pool. So
Senator Pia,
yes,
excuse me. Do you agree with me that one of the best corporations or companies that we should put in the zone would be a bike company? Because the biggest companies that started in China, in Taiwan, they started in Taiwan, then they went to China and Vietnam. They make bicycles. And the Philippines, remember, Patria, both of us talked about that.
exactly. Yes, yes.
We can make bicycles in this country and it will make it cheaper. The multiplier effect will be tremendous, correct?
Mr. Chair, I actually already made a call around April, around the time we were having this discussion, to our ambassador in Taiwan, no? Sinabi ko na yan na maghanap na tayo ng ng mga ipapasok dito na bike manufacturers. The good bike manufacturers are mostly in Taiwan. People think China, but bikes specifically are Taiwan. And again, I know this not because I'm a techie, but I do ride bike, so I hear this from my friends. So, ang daming opportunity, Mr. Chair. I'm very excited about it. But let me. So I started on a light note, no. Tama na yung kwento ko about my passion, but that's where it all starts, diba? You have to have passion. So that is where my passion for Central Luzon comes from. But I do want to mention, I chair the Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking. And the reason why I'm very supportive of the growth in Central Luzon is because SDG 11 is about creating sustainable cities and communities. And so when you have a metropolitan area like Manila, there's very little you can do to truly improve it, no? Parang kumbaga para gawin mong so that you can improve the water system, huhukayin mo lahat yan sa ilalim ng Makati, sa Manila. And yet, if you just move a little bit to the south or to the north, and in this case, the Central Luzon, you have areas that are very open and can still be developed in a sustainable way. And that's why, well, because iniwan din sa atin yan ng mga Amerikano, very open to bike lanes ang Subic and ang Clark, di ba? And because of the new developments like our new Clark City, our recent host of the Southeast Asian Games, we will have beautiful parks and bike lanes all over that area. And that's why I'm very excited, Mr. Chair. So just to wrap up my my statement, so SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities, SDG 8 on decent work. So mahirap talaga maghanap ng decent work if punong-puno na at wala na rin namang space for industries to grow. And that is why I forgot to mention, how can I forget, no? My father, for the younger generation, my father was the EPSA, the predecessor of PEZA administrator. And so as a child, well, not a child, as a college girl, when I was, and by the way, Mr. Chair, I don't know if you know this, my thesis in the School of Economics was, well, it was on the export processing zone in Bataan. I wrote about that way back in the 80s. So, and about the jobs that it brought and the lives that were changed. So I'm a big supporter, Mr. Chair. SDG goals pa lang, you have me there. Innovation, you need these kind of hubs. No, I'm a big supporter of Balik Probinsya, but I agree with what you said. We want innovation, but how do you create that instantaneously if you don't have that infrastructure, if you don't have the housing for these investors and for the experts who will come in and live there? You want them to live there and be comfortable there so that they make that their home and they grow their businesses there. So on that note, Mr. Chair, I look forward to DOF working with you very carefully if there's anything I can do also to help, because you have expressed your support for CREATE and I'd like it to move forward. And wala na masyadong gagawin for certain areas in Central Luzon like Clark and Subic. They stand out already in terms of what we can offer investors. But there's so much more we can do, even just this administration in the district of Governor Yap. No, I was so excited to visit the new Clark City and so many more, Mr. Chair. I'll leave it at that. You have experts here who need to speak. I just wanted to weigh in and tell you that I've been listening and I'm supportive. So DOF, let's work together with Senator Gordon on this. Thank you.
Working law together with Frank Tudon and Teddy Locsin. And I just want to tell you, Taiwan's biggest bike manufacturer is Giant. They produce 73 million bikes. 73 million bikes in 2018. we can very well do that for our country, Pia, Senator Pia. So I'm just letting the Department of
Mr.
Finance
Chair.
hear it because we need to get this thing going because as hopefully it will wane. Trying to make sure it wanes. We're coming out with new testing procedures that are cheaper, so our people can get there. We're going to be using a very special test, and we should be able to get our people back to work in no time if we are able to do that. So going back, thank you very much, Secretary Pia. I I'll be doing the sponsorship of Guide Bill also, and certainly I've been very supportive of revenues, and we need that. I was just telling them you need it because you also lost Pogo. 10 billion yung Pogo. Na nawala raw. Nabi kanina sa dyaryo. But anyway, Judy, you heard our committee on Ways and Means. If she finds ways and means to make sure that you have money, all right? It's not waste. It's
Yes,
waste.
sir. Yes, sir. We have
Okay.
no problem po working with your committee. As I said, we already did. We had several discussions before. We just have to stop for a while because we're tending to other matters as well. But we can continue as you've instructed.
No, no. You sound like it's going. We have time. All I want to say is it's not difficult to submit your correction so we can incorporate it in the bill, and I'd like to do it
Yes,
before
sir. We'll do.
it's over. Before this week is over.
We'll submit po.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Judy, and I applaud you because I can talk with you. The others I can't talk with. It seems they're natatakot sila mag-commit, and I'm glad that you have somebody who can make decisions here. Thank you. Are there any other folks there who want to comment? Because I would imagine since this has been approved by both houses last time, we can do one hearing and then get the proposals from the Department of Finance, and we should be ready to file it. Again, I encourage all the secretary, the Senator DG Plaza, my good friend, Charito Plaza is there. Charito, can you speak out, please?
Yes, thank you, Senator Gordon, my colleague and compadre. Uh, this bill of yours is really laudable, and we are 101% supportive of your bill, the REACH bill, which is actually aligned with our main objectives, which is geared towards countryside development. We have to decentralize the development away from Metro Manila, and this is also in line with the JICA study, who also said that we should disperse the creation of economic zones from Metro Manila. And that is also the program now of PEZA. So we are encouraging not just LGUs, even the indigenous peoples who own the ancestral domain lands, where we have almost 6 million hectares are idle. So we're inviting our indigenous peoples through their ancestral domain lands to become also as economic zones. We are also attracting LGUs, and of course the private sector, the private landowners. No? So we are now promoting the creation of different types of economic zones, so we can utilize the millions of hectares of idle lands in the country, and we can attract different types of industries of the world. So, Senator, go ahead. We are very, very supportive of your REACH bill. And this is, again, in response to the Administrative Order 18 of President Duterte, his Balik Probinsya program, in order to attract the unemployed Filipinos, the OFWs who are coming home, to go home to their provinces, because we already have economic zones providing them job opportunities, livelihood opportunities. And we have models, Senator Gordon, to show those LGUs, for example, who are hosting economic zones other than Subic, of course.
There you go.
Calabarzon, Senator, Cavite province, for example, both the governor and the congressman has been saying that before there were economic zones in Cavite, they only had 2 or 3 cities. Now they have 7 cities, and they enjoy social progress. The poverty and crime incidence has lowered And this is what we want to happen, to be replicated in the countryside and nationwide. So we are very, very supportive of your rich bill, Senator Gordon.
Thank you, Chairperson Plaza. We follow PESA. We are going to use your example as well. The very fact that you now have cities and towns supporting their own PESAs, that's not anathema to the bill. That's what we want to encourage. And, the only way we can get out of the hole that has been dug by our cultural indifference in the past is by being aggressive and making sure that we have initiatives like PESA, like Clark, like Subic, and like AFAB. These are led by local government officials. Abet
Right.
Garcia came to me and I continued the bill and it was approved. Not easily, but we did get it approved. And now I'm sure they're saying they're co-authors of the bill. And they did become co-authors of the bill. Right, Abet, Governor Garcia? We laugh about it. But again, it's Clark, the same thing. So I'm glad that we can help each other, especially in Nueva Ecija, and most especially in Tarlac, because it's along the highway. You know, Tarlac is along the highway, and you could have like what you have in Calabarzon. Along the highway, you see all the factories, right? And I'm
Right.
sure that's one of my targets, actually. Governor Susan, I hope you're still there and listening. We want to make sure that we do that way because once you get to Tarlac, you get to Pangasinan already, and you go all the way up, and eventually this country will be able to do that. We can replicate what has happened in Pesa, in Subic, and Clark, and other places. So thank you very much, Charito, for your work. It's good to see you. You look great. You look great.
Oh, I'm here in Baguio Economic Zone.
I noticed you have the Texas Instruments there still, di ba?
Right, right.
Yeah, and
It's one of our major
I've always
locators.
talked to me to make sure that they get the consistency and the continuity that they desire from our country, and
Mhm.
you are the guardians of that, because sometimes
Yes.
certainly sometimes we have different directions. So thank you very much. I'd like to call on others in the panel among the resource persons. Tere, who have I not called, please? Committee Secretary?
Yes, sir. We have DPWH, we have DENR, and AFAB, APECO, and GCG in attendance po.
Yes, we got the BCD already. Can we get AFAB?
Yes, sir. Engineer
Yeah,
Pineda.
yeah. Good morning, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman.
Good
And
morning.
on behalf of the AFAB, we would like to thank you for giving us the privilege and opportunity to present our position for your proposed bill. Uh, we are one with you in your laudable intentions to decongest Metro Manila and tap on the inherent advantages of location and infrastructure existing in the Central Luzon corridor, and so to speak, to put our acts together and become another region to be reckoned with in terms of investments and job generation. Uh, we would just like to manifest the previous agreements during the previous bill when we were in attendance in all the public hearings held in the different provinces, that as manifested by the chair, that the REACH will be basically a coordinating and marketing body in relation to the existing IPAs. It will be ensuring and orchestrating the planning and the integration of infrastructure development and marketing efforts to enhance the potentials of the corridor. Also, Mr. Chair, while we support the bill, we also would like to humbly request that we would like to have a reconsideration on the proposed sharing for the 5% gross income earned remittances, so that we could retain, the AFAB could retain the share that was given to us in our charter. So thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, we would like to thank you for being the uh, major sponsor of the bill that created the authority of the Freeport area of Bataan and the Freeport area of Bataan. And from our inception in 2010 up to June of this year, we have already remitted a total of 313 million, representing the 3% taxes on GIE for the local and the national governments. The AFAB tax totaled to over 554 million, and our dividends that we have given to the national government amounted to a total of over 285 million. All in all, we were able to remit taxes and dividends to the government uh, to an amount of a total of over 1.1 billion pesos. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Nakamute po ba?
And generate a tax base. And that is important. And it also generates infrastructure buildup, which means it's very Keynesian in the sense that we are able to develop our infrastructure a lot better. And mind you, tell Governor Garcia, one of the things, as you know, I support is getting the bridge from Navaleta, Cavite, all the way down to Corridor, all the way down to Mariveles, if I'm not mistaken, and that way it will make it even faster for connectivity. That's one of the things that we need to do in terms of connectivity. And there would be more excuse for it if Bataan booms not only in Mariveles, as I know it's already booming elsewhere, but if they can have more investments coming in to other areas in Bataan, certainly that becomes a doable and easy to implement program. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Eman, and you're doing a fine job. Are you okay now? I understand you had a little bout with the COVID.
Yes, Mr. Chair, unfortunately, the development brought about by the progress of the Freeport area of Bataan, there was already an existing community when we took off, we hit the ground running. So because of the tremendous employment created, again, thanks to you and the local officials of Bataan, uh, there are areas within the municipality of Maribeles where people really are uh, cannot really observe proper distancing, very congested because of the high demand for workers. So, but again, thanks to you, we are able to, one of the, we constructed already 2 3 story economic housing for workers, and you, through your generous allocation of funds, we were able to construct a third building, and all this we already at the moment used as isolation facility to help the local government and our workers in dealing with the pandemic. And also, Red Cross has set up 2 tents, and it's where we isolate those who are COVID positive.
That's great to know. So, Judy, I hope you're listening. You can see how dramatically a place can go turn around to good leadership from the governor, good leadership from the administrator or chairman of the facility. And you can see that sometimes the problems that they have are the problems that we want to have, because that means we build more homes, we build more dormitories, and that means more jobs for everybody and more income for the government. So, again, let's do this extremely fast, and I'd ask all the PESAs and all the industrial parks to submit a letter of support so that we can put it in one resolution that we can send to the president and to the Congress so that we can do this fast. Really, I'd like to do this as fast as we can, along with the initiatives of the government with respect to with respect to the guide bill, the bill on create, and the other bill. What is that other bill, Judy? A fish bill. All right. So we have that, and then can I hear from Penro? Ang problema ko sa DNR is to make sure you support the local governments when they set aside land for industrial parks. Kaya ba yun? Which Penro do we have there? You have the Penro of Tarlac, or the Penro of Pampanga, or the Penro of Bataan, or Zambales, or Bulacan? Terry, can you help me out? I cannot see everybody.
Yes, Sir Pedro Zambales is present.
What's his name? Marife, are you there? Marife Castillo?
Nandiyan siya kanina, sir.
Can you unmute?
Andiyan pa siya, andiyan pa.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes po. Yes po, Pedro Marife Castillo of Zambales, sir. Of course, we share the sentiments of all of Attorney Collado. We support your rich bill, sir. Of course, we have been coordinating with the LGUs, Subic, and up to Subic SBMA, sir. We have the lands and water here in Zambales were sufficient for industrial and tourism purposes, so that we firmly believe that this rich bill, sir, is will pursue to be implemented here in Central Luzon, especially, sir.
Marife, pakitulungan nyo lang yung governor na Zambales, because I know he's a very active PMA graduation, dating DPWH, and also the municipal mayors of all 13 towns and one city of Zambales, where they can set aside the land that they will need to invite investments to go into. Hindi pwedeng ingunguso lang. Pag sinabi, saan ako mag-i-invest? Ingunguso. Kailangan nakasabi na yun, i-develop yung land by parcels of land, parang subdivision, and the development of roads and water and power sufficiently placed therein to make sure that they can support the sustainable operation of industrial parks. And of course, may konting housing yan, no? Para yung mga magtatrabaho dyan, may housing sila. Either they rent, and then when they move, they can rent it to other people, or they can be part of the perks that they can slowly put money into it. Work, save, invest, prosper. Pwede ba yan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Copy. We always coordinate with Governor Ebdane since my assumption to duty last March 17 as Pedro of Zambales.
Coordinate ka naman sa akin paminsan-minsan.
Yes, sir.
I can help you formulate yung ito yung lupang ito, ganito ang gagawin. Pakihanap po na tulungan mo yung mayor na San Marcelino, na Castilleos, Masinloc, all these other towns na kung gusto nila may nakahanda. Pero unahin muna natin sa paisa-isa muna para mag-work. Para pag nag-work, madali na, di ba?
Mr. Chair. For my 6 months, medyo nakokompleto ko na lahat yung land development natin po.
Nagagamit nyo ba yung mga pinabili ko na 100 na drones? Para nakikita nyo kung pinuputol pa ang kahoy dyan.
With you, sir. Thank you nga pala po, sa mga technologies na meron po tayong ginagamit ngayon for drones and
GIS siguro, GPS, no? Ginagamit niya, no?
mga GPS po.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pa.
Is there any other Penro there?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Marife. Padala mo, i-text mo sa akin yung number mo, ha?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And then, yes, Chit Plaza, you may be excused. I think we're going to the end of the meeting already. Are there any others who may want to speak up?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'm Rafaelita Aldaba from DTI and BOI.
Yes, yes. You're very important.
Magandang umaga po.
I'm flying blind here. Hirap nitong Zoom eh. Yes, Perlita.
In view of the need to attract companies moving out of China, in order for us to create more and better jobs, promote regional development, catalyze economic and digital transformation, and prepare the country for a post-pandemic future, the department supports the creation of the REACH. According to the UNCTAD and OECD research, global investments would decline by 30 to 40% until 2022. Hence, for a country such as the Philippines, we need focused regional strategies to promote investments in a highly competitive global environment. And I believe that the formulation and implementation of a Central Luzon Investment Corridor Master Plan would be crucial, along with the coordination and facilitation functions of the REACH. All these are vital in order for us to maximize the potentials of Central Luzon. And Mr. Chair, if I may also share, in 2016 to 2017, we worked with a consortium of Japanese companies led by Nomura research team. This was funded through the JICA in the formulation of an industrial master plan for Region 3 and Region 4A. This is a 300-page report, Mr. Chair, that highlighted the recommendations on industrial policy and infrastructure development for the two regions. It also has recommendations on the promotion of foreign investment, policy, structure.
Marife, can you please unmute from Zambales? Okay, thank you, Marife. Go ahead, Perdita.
And many of the challenges that were raised in the report, Mr. Chair, are actually being addressed by the current bill, such as the need for higher education and training institutions, infrastructure, integrating LGU regional and national plans, improvement of investment environment, and an effective incentive scheme. Specific sectors and policy actions have also been identified for the region, such as aerospace, electronics, agribusiness, food processing, export activities, automotive, and IT/BPM, which were found to be the region's comparative advantage. So and this was already discussed earlier, Mr. Chair, our only concern is on the granting of incentives and how this could be aligned with the CREATE bill. Apart from this, Mr. Chair, we are fully supportive of the REACH bill.
Well,
Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Rafaelita, you know, your comments warm my heart, and I'd like to get a copy of that study made by the Japanese, is it? Or
Yes, Mr. Chair, from Nomura. It's a consortium.
I know, I put with them, Nomura Securities. That's right, I remember.
We will be sending a copy, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
along with our formal position paper.
Thank you very much. And indeed, this will be very, very good for our country. You agree that the world will have to pick up, and this will be, as they say, survival will be on the basis of you have to make sure that you are ahead of the pack. You take risks that are reasonable, so that you can already have that. In a 2020 survey, by the way, conducted by the German-Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, 45% or 94 companies will expand investments in the EU-Philippine FTA if the EU-Philippine FTA is passed. Now, this will also allow us an opportunity for them to think about going to these areas that we're inside. By the way, I hope you'll tell your superiors that this is just patikim. After this, I keep saying we will create bills, and we're already doing that for Negros, and I hope Finance and BIR will help us craft the necessary incentives there, and also other areas like Panay Island, even the part of the Tiesas, which I think will be enhanced by this operation. So thank you very much, Rafaelita. Thank you. And can you please put that in writing, your endorsement? Can you ask Bani, the Secretary of Trade, if he would endorse it, so we can move very very fast. This bill breezed through Congress last time, and again, I think it will do the same thing if we can get all the endorsements so much mabilis. Thank you very much.
Thank you po.
Thank you, thank you. Now we'll hear from Attorney Ralbert Tibayan of BIR, if he's still there. Ralbert Panero, BIR. Hello, BIR. Are you
Hello,
there?
can you hear me, Mr.
Yes, I
Chair?
can hear you. I can hear you. Can you please speak up? There you go. Wow.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Chair, and to all our
Morning.
participants.
You look very young. Are you fresh graduate from law school?
No, Mr. Chair. 2 years as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So does BIR have any comments to make here? Looks
Yeah,
like you're
yes,
a
Mr.
player
Chair.
sa basketball. Ang dami mong trophy sa likod, ah.
Nung law school.
Sa law school pa yan?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, good morning. Firstly, we believe that the refiling of the bill is indeed well timed, especially because of the economic woes brought about by this pandemic. We just like to make a few comments on the Senate bill.
Please do.
At the same time, deferring to the views, comments, and again, adjustments that may be provided by the DOS and other agencies.
Pero no bearing eh, no?
Somebody please unmute. Give
Job
attorney.
generation tayo eh. Yun nga yung nabanggit ko eh. Yung importance ko ng DPWS in job generation eh.
Right, right. Right. Mr. RYE, right. Please unmute. Thank you. Go ahead, Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do acknowledge that the tax incentives granted under the law is time bound. So more importantly, there are conditions established in order to avail the tax incentives, such as the 10-year period for the income tax holiday, 30-day limit for the certificate of eligibility. There are parameters for the housing, school, and hospital grants for their employees, so etc. No, but as consistent with the policy of the Bureau when it comes to the grant of tax incentives, we just note that this will initially have an adverse impact to revenue collection. But of course, if this will eventually provide more tax collection in the future, that would be much better po. So we're hoping that, and we will work with the DOF in making the necessary adjustments regarding the tax incentives. So this bill can be passed if ever, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to disabuse your mind. If you have raw land right now, what sort of taxes are you collecting there from that raw land? Are you able to collect income taxes from that raw land?
From raw land, Mr.
Undeveloped
Chair.
land? You can only collect real property taxes, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And
Nothing.
because there's no income.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Now, if we start putting in a factory or a construction company comes in and starts working on roads and subdividing that land, you can now get income. Would that be correct?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
That means money will flow to the government coffers.
Agree, Mr. Chair.
And now, when the construction of a flattened factory building or a resort or whatever it is, or a hotel, starts a building, you collect more taxes. Would that be correct, sir?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
And you'll be getting VAT and sales taxes for the alcoholic beverages that they will be serving, for the food and everything. Would that be correct?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Where do they get their incentives? Incentives will be on the total gross income that they will pay, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Which is about 5%, correct?
5%.
Is
Yes.
the economic activity, the construction, the economic activity of putting up businesses, and now they will have employees who will also now pay income taxes, correct?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
And those income taxes, those employees will also be buying food, or not. Food is not covered by VAT, but clothes and all the other things that are covered by VAT, they will also be provide. They will also be paying the government, correct?
Correct again, Mr. Chair.
So
Yes.
sometimes I really am confused, and I'm askance at what income losses we're talking about, because what we're really targeting here is raw land, land that is not utilized. All right. And once that is utilized, you start collecting, and then there will be a sunset provision. And again, I go back to Subic and to Clark. They've been there for almost 30 years, and you can see that they're contributing more and more. And should we start saying no more incentives, then we should do it gently, as in create. Would that be good for you?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Right. So having said all that, I'd like to disabuse your mind that this is going to hurt the government. It will only hurt the government if the marketing is flawed, no jobs are created, and but still there's capital investment that went on, and capital like buildings and all that could be utilized, maybe not for a foreign direct investor, but maybe for a domestic investor. So there will still be some economic activity, correct?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
So it's a win-win situation. Uh, we will only lose a little, if you will, because we will not be able to collect the 25% income tax from a corporation that will settle there. Instead of collecting that, we will get 5%. But we will be collecting VAT and other things from the employees, and from income taxes from the employees, etc., etc. So I think it's not a zero-sum game.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And so BIR would not have any objections after what I've told you, because, like I said, I'm willing to sit down with the with the DOF, so that we could harmonize what they feel are their concerns, and so that we can hit the ground running. That when the pandemic ceases, we will need jobs, but you don't want to wait. You want to be able to prepare the industrial parks, build some houses there, and so that when we finally get the investments, actually, it's just like looking at all these condominiums being built. They say, first come, first serve. This will be finished in 3 years. There is an incentive for you to buy now, reserve now, so that you can get that. And you can even do that for Japanese or other countries who may want to come in. Would that be correct, sir?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
That's how I think we should market it. And that way we don't lose any money in the process. Money that obviously we cannot afford to lose anymore. And sometimes I really cry inside me when I see, for example, corruption money being lost, for example, in the PhilHealth or in the coffers of the government, when money otherwise assigned to go to PhilHealth is taken by one very powerful individual. 10.5 billion pesos is taken, and she's not even being accosted for it. And another 3.5 billion for a vaccine that is not needed, and that had nothing but heartache for our people. I don't know why we concentrate on those negatives, because we have to, but I think we should be concentrating and focusing on the things that we need to do for our people. So that's why I ask you, you look very young, and I suppose that your youth should entitle you to some form of idealism, and not be afraid of the grim realities of our country, where there will still be corrupt people, and be idealistic all the time and try to make your dreams come true.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think DPWH is there, represented by Denise Maria Ayag. Denise, are you there? DPWH.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Mr. Chair.
morning. Did I pronounce it correctly? Oh, is it Denise?
Yeah, Dennis Maria. Ayag,
Dennis,
yes.
Dennis, Dennis.
Yes, I'm the ARD of Region 3, DPWH.
Yes. How are you? Yeah. What,
Yes.
what do you think?
In behalf of DPWH, I will say that when this will be passed, House Bill 1549, we know that DPWH will play a very important role in terms of job generation, especially in Central Luzon area, Region 3. Right now, we are mandated to construct roads and bridges that will address the seamless transport system and address the decongestion coming from Metro Manila. And with this bill, we know that the area will benefit when this is passed. And we are one with you in the passage of this bill.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you. And I'm sure I can feel your pride when you see your infrastructure like Tiplex, Esitex, all these things that you dreamt about that are now realities begin to go into fruition when you see factories going alongside the highway.
Yes, yes, sir.
Like the railroad, you see all these factories that are going to go up, warehouses, etc. They're already going up. But
Yes.
we have to prepare for the infrastructure that will develop. And when you see housing go up there as well, you don't have to spend money every year in Manila for trying to decongest Manila, build new infrastructure, build elevated highways in Manila, which we
Yes.
don't really need if we move the people, like the Balik Provincia program of the president, to countryside like Southern Luzon, Central Luzon, Northern Luzon, the Visayas. And I'm sure it will be gratifying for any employee of the Department of Public Works to see that what he has done has benefited this country.
Yes, sir. And in relation with the economic development of area, we're going to construct a road which will connect the Hermosa Ecozone, the Subic, Clark, and will end at Morong.
Yes, I've always been happy about that. They say there's an awful lot of corruption. Sa akin, basta magawa yung project, bahala na kayo sa buhay ninyo kung nangurap kayo, basta magaling yung project. May mga ganun eh. Di ba? We always focus on the wrong things. Keep building, keep building. And if we catch somebody, punish him. But if you cannot catch him,
Yes, sir.
you don't have the proof. Huwag na tayo magdaldal because ginagawa pa ang masama. I'm not going to countenance corruption. I'm the Blue Ribbon investigator. But certainly, we need to be focused, we need to be fast, and we need to be flexible and friendly and forward-looking at all times. So that's what I see in DPWH these days.
Yes,
So thank you, Dennis. Thank you very much.
yes, sir.
Touch.
Mr. Chair.
I'll ask you, can we have NEDA Director Agustin Mendoza, please? If he's not available yet, yeah, we will have GCG, a friend that I've met recently in my previous hearing, Samuel Dagpin. Whoever comes first.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon. This is Mr. Mendoza.
GCG is here, Mr. Chair.
Oh, GCG.
Yeah.
Yes,
We submitted our comment to the bill, the REACH bill. It's just more on the classification of this entity. So it's not really an objection, really. But on a personal note, I'm from Mindanao. Hopefully, this bill will be approved, and hopefully, the same will be applied also to my island in Mindanao.
I can promise you that. I can promise you that.
Because we have, a coordinating entity but no corporate powers. If these corporate powers of the REACH entity would have been done previously, I think Mindanao would go a long way.
You're a man of my heart. Exactly what I mean. I want the Mindanao Railway all around Mindanao, and I want factories side by side at railway. I can see that, and we can put together in every region already industrial parks. I for that matter, one of my exasperations, and a few years ago, I put in money for a place in North Cotabato. I think it is ano pa nung airport na yun? In the place of Governor no, the airport in Cotabato, not Cotabato. Uh, it's was no man's land, but unfortunately nakagulo yung mga politiko, hindi natuloy. But this time, I can assure you, if I'm going to build in an industrial, this is a molecular lab. I've already done Cagayan de Oro. I've already done Zamboanga, and I'm doing Surigao, and I'm doing Cotabato in the barn area. You know where I'm headed with this uh, this zone, this rich type zone, where everybody will now learn to cooperate and support their province. Thank you, uh, uh, Sammy, for your support. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And you're a patriot. You're not being parochial. You want to make sure that all the blessings of this country go everywhere, distributed properly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I will consult you from time to time on some matters that I think may come your way, and I hope it will not be difficult. We now have Apeco Maria Cristina Suaverdes. I'm part author of this, and that's why I feel responsible. I co-authored it with the late Senator Angara because I believe that we should have an area in the Pacific, a port in the Pacific, an airport in the Pacific that can really create uh, some sort of a Panama Canal from the Pacific to the West Philippine Sea. Can we have APECO? Anybody from APECO there?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Harley Rose Nakiwag?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Good
Harley.
afternoon po.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, from the start, we truly support your bill. And of course, hindi lang po Metro Manila yung mapapansin po dito. And this will give APECO a chance to grow. And in behalf of APECO Board of Directors and our President, we are very thankful with this bill and we truly support this, sir. And we thank you for your wisdom for this. Thank you.
I think you know my number. Can you send me the number of your governor there so I can call him so he can support this as well?
Yes,
Or
yes,
email,
Your Honor.
and yours then. I think you know my number, right? You know my cell phone.
I haven't have your
I will have the secretary give you all my cell phones and my emails. All the guests today will be getting my cell phone and my email. I apologize for that. Usually I give that ahead, so you can call in case you have any questions. Okay,
Yes, Your Honor.
Arlie, thank you. Apeco is a very beautiful area. And remember that when you're doing something right, a lot of people who think wrongly will try to wrong you all the time. But keep on at this. I think Mr. Rodem Perez is already here, OIC, for business development in Clark. Clark Development. I want to make sure we call everybody when we invite. Rodem Perez.
Yes, sir. Magandang hapon po. On behalf of the Clark Freeport Zone, kami po yung nagpapasalamat, and I would just like to share to everyone that our region has scored points po, no, because I think most of you know that we will be hosting the PBA bubble, no, the 45th season of the PBA will be held.
PBA will be there.
Yes, sir. It will be hosted here sa Clark Freeport Zone po. Until the championship ano po, period, no? And talking about championship po, it reminds me po yung experience natin sa Subic, no? Because there's no other person, no, that I know of who can really say na yung pong sa inyo pong championship experience po. And thank you for championing ito pong napakagandang legislation na po na to, no? So we will fully support it. It speaks of inclusivity. It promotes unity po, and it's very empowering because we have all the LGUs, no, coming forward and joining everybody else to promote the strengths of each of the areas, of each of the local government units, of each territory po, no, so we can really work as one and continue to be sustainable po. And finally po, salamat po for bringing the Philippine Red Cross Molecular Lab sa Clark.
Yes.
So it helped po in accommodating yung mga returning OFWs, our repats and expats coming home that were allowed, permitted under the IATF. So we can test everybody, we can increase capability of testing. And yun po, maraming salamat po, and we will support this beautiful legislation po.
Thank you
Thank you
very
for
much.
championing us, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm glad that you're hosting PBA. Bigyan niyo naman yung Subic ng ibang games. But that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. I remember when nobody was championing Clark, right after the Pinatubo eruption, and I was doing Subic Bay Freeport Zone. I remember I went to Clark and called Eddie Narciso and Abong Tayag, and we brought them to the Congress, and I said we have to include Clark in the bill that I'm asking you to approve. And Clark became a special economic zone. Other special economic zones were included, such as Baguio and La Union. And let me tell you, when that was approved, I was very happy. When Mr. Ramos, President Ramos, made it a Freeport, I told him baka matalo tayo sa Supreme Court, and tatalo nga tayo sa Supreme Court later on. But I was very quick in refiling the bill to make it a free port. And that's why Clark has done, done busters. And Subic has not done badly, but because, we started the airport, and I just want to tell Sammy, if you're there, Sammy, we have an airport there. I put in money as a senator there again. Nawala yung ating airport dyan. I hope you would nudge whoever it is you can nudge para mabuksan na yan. It's about ready to open. Hindi ba, Ami? Ami, is it about ready to open? Ami Isma?
Yes, sir, it is, sir. We, in fact, just recently had a visit with the CAAP, the Civil Aviation Authority, last Friday. We are on the final stretches, and we are hoping to get full CAAP approval to get the airport going already.
And is it my understanding, Rodem, that I talked with Vince Dixon, that FedEx is coming back, and they're going to use Clark. They're going to use Clark and partners. I don't have to announce that. I know how they work. I got FedEx in Subic before. So if that happens, this will be a big boost once again to the region. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
They're about to finish their facility here.
That is why we have to move fast on this bill. So I would like each of the boards of all the PESAs and all the Clark, Subic, to come up with a resolution endorsing it right away. I know we don't have to, but it's always good for historical purposes that we're all part of this in every step that we take. So from Tarlac, Provincial Board, in fact, kung pwede lahat ng mayor, gawin natin para talagang mabilis na talaga ito at matapos kagad. Would that be possible, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sure
Yes.
you're listening. I will have the ComSec follow up on this. If you need a template, we can provide a template, but I'd rather it become naturally from just a plain, simple resolution endorsing it because it would be good for the region and for the country, and so that we can move on to other parts of the country. Like Silay, they have an airport there, and they have plenty of land as far as I can see, and we can do that. Or in Mindanao, Cagayan de Oro, they have all these places, Zamboanga, Davao, certainly all these areas, Surigao, we can have this happen. I guess I'm dreaming again, but anyway, I'd like to make and see our dreams come true for our people. Thank you very much, Adem, and so I guess if we have gotten everybody, I didn't get Neda, but Neda has endorsed it before. Is Neda there? Mendoza, Agustin Mendoza.
Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Chair, this is Assistant Director Cynthia Villena of the NEDA Central Office.
Hi, Cynthia. I saw you earlier. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, we recognize the intent of the bill to promote investments outside Metro Manila. However, there may be a need to clearly delineate the proposed powers and functions of the RICH with existing bodies because we noted some functions would encroach on the mandates of existing bodies, such as, for example, sir, the RICH function to coordinate, formulate plans, programs in Central Luzon, and to develop the Central Luzon Investment Corridor Master Plan may overlap with the functions of the Regional Development
But
Council.
this will be in connection with in coordination with local governments, right? And
Yes,
other
sir.
government institutions. So if you want to make an amendment, a suggestion, write it down because
Yes,
I'm
sir.
scheduling before that, before we reach September 25 on Friday. I hope you'll do it right away along with the DOF, uh,
Yes, sir.
so that we could incorporate it in the bill. So that next week, I want to be able to have this on first reading by October, by the last week of September. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir. We would also like to inform you, as earlier mentioned, sir, that a master plan entitled Integrated Infrastructure and Investment Development Planning for Investment Corridors in Central Luzon is currently being formulated under the Project Development and Other Related Studies Fund administered by NEDA, sir. This master plan is intended to provide a long-term framework for the sustainable development of Central Luzon through the facilitation of investment and infrastructure, which shall be implemented within the 20-year planning period or until 2040, sir.
Isn't this bill right on the table of that plan?
Yes, sir. It will input, sir.
It is a
The
big
master plan
input.
is already the master plan is already being formulated, sir.
Yes, yes. We can make adjustments anyway, even if we go ahead. We can make
Yes, sir.
adjustments, right?
Yes, sir.
We must be united towards a common vision. We know you're going to do a good plan. This is a good strategy that I think we're setting up, and we can make the adjustments later on, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you
Sir, for the
familiar with how they built the railroad in America?
No, sir.
Well, when they built the railroad in America, they were paying them on a per mile basis, and every once so often, every month or a month and a half, they will get paid, and they will be inspected on the basis of the railway. Sometimes they ran out of wood, so they put it sandalwood, which is not allowed, and yet they said, "Nail it down, we'll fix it later." So they got paid, and they finished it, and they came back and fixed it later, and now the first great leap of America happened because of that, the railroad in America connecting the Pacific to the Atlantic Ocean. So let's move it, okay?
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Sir,
I'd
for the
appreciate
fiscal
it if you could send me your comments and your plan. If you're part of the plan already, I'm always interested in looking at those plans.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think we've called everybody already. So if I miss anybody, please speak up. Again, I will repeat my request that the local governments endorse. I gave you, I suggested some points such as the board resolutions, the identifying with Penrose, the land, at least one land right away that we can identify as a part of an industrial park that we can build and find out, how big we can set aside so that we can start it right away, preferably uh, near Clark, like Tarlac would be ideal, Bataan would be ideal, and Nueva Ecija would also be ideal. We're all next to each other, and even Apeco. So let's do that right away, and so that we can get it done. And also NEDA and uh, the DFI should send their comments right away. I would really be favored if you would send it to me right away, DOF, so that by September 25, we can all meet, sit down on a TWG basis, and then prepare the final bill. I'm doing 3 or 4 bills, by the way, one for the military, including their pension. So please, let's act quickly so that we can solve many of these existing problems right now. I would be most appreciative if you could do that. And so at the moment, there are no more suggestions. This is the chairman's prerogative. I will suspend the session in case I have to call another one but I will suspend it. But if we get it right on the DWG, we will all send you a copy of it, and in which case we can now endorse it to Sunny Dominguez, to the president, so that we can immediately push this bill and be the first one on the starting line to make the recovery really clear to our people. And right away, I can promise you with NEDA and DOF, we'll do bills in other areas, like I said, in the north, in Ilocos, in the north. We can do it in Negros, where they have ports, also at airports, and also Cebu, and also other area. You can see Cebu is already congested. It's very hard to come across there. Traffic is extremely bad, so you would need it on both ends of Cebu, so that you could do that. Even Bohol, sa Tiesa area, and Mindanao, definitely. Cagayan de Oro, Davao, and Cotabato. There are so many places. The Jansan area, these are areas where we can come up with our industrial parks, with an identity of their own. Like, fishing is big in Jansan, and in Davao, we can have special parks devoted to canneries, devoted to, new value-added products that we can get from the sea. So thank you all very much. If there are any more comments, I would listen to you now. And if there are no more comments, I will suspend the
Senator?
session. Yes.
Yes,
Susan,
Senator.
please go ahead. Governor Susan.
Aside from the DNR, with regards to assisting us in the land, maybe we can also ask the Department of Agrarian Reform to ease yung mga conversions po, because we still have a lot of land investors who want to invest, but because of the tedious process of conversion, that also discourages them, no? To maybe DAR can also be called in to assist on the bill.
Governor Susan, you're so right, and I appreciate your prescience. You're able to see what is ahead. I certainly join you, even in the coconut fund or even in the agrarian. I really don't favor 3-hectare plots for people because it's not really economically sustainable. So rest assured, I'll probably come up with a bill in that regard and maybe talk right away with the DAR. That's why I say pick one land that wala tayong problema para pag nakita na nila yan, mas mabilis na silang papayag. I think that's the best way.
Thank you. Thank you, Sen.
Thank you, Susan. So good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Other concerns? If not, I thank you all for coming. Mabuhay po ang ating bansa. Let's all work together. And we will suspend the session if we have to call another session. But in the meantime, any of you who want to join us in the Zoom, you can do that on September 25 at 10 a.m. It would be nice if you could have somebody in your group listen to the Zoom of the amendments that are going to be proposed, or the meeting that we're going to propose with DOF, as well as NEDA, and as well as BIR, as well as maybe DAR can be part of that. Department of Agrarian Reform, we will call them, so that we could immediately put this into order and push it. So thank you all very much for your kindness and for your active participation. Really appreciate it. Nobody is so important and nobody is so unimportant that we cannot listen to them. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Thank you. Susan, I see you.
Thank you, Senator. Ingat po kayo.